What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video I wasn't really expecting to make because yesterday, from the time of this video, Beamdog published a sequel of sorts to the main campaign for Neverwinter Nights, specifically on the Enhanced Edition, with the title of Doom of Icewind Dale. Now, shortly after this, the creator of this particular module or expansion reached out and asked if I wanted to take a look at it, which is how I'm bringing you all of this footage, as I have played Neverwinter Nights before, just quite some time ago, mind you. But the person behind this official sequel to the main campaign there is Luke Skull. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but Luke actually works with Ossian Studios. Ossian Studios is behind a lot of the premium modules for Neverwinter Nights as well, but it does look like he did this on his own, which is worth a mention because Ossian Studios is currently working on a different game via a recent Kickstarter, Pathfinder the Dragon's Demand, and from what I understand, work on this particular module was actually done quite some time ago before that Kickstarter even got off the ground, but due to its official nature as a sequel, it, required a whole bunch of approvals and everything to go through, so it took a while to actually come to fruition. Which I thought was a bit of interesting background, given that I honestly think this expansion here caught most people by surprise. It was very unexpected. But for those who don't know, the Neverwinter Nights we are talking about just so happens to be the 2002 release, or at least the Enhanced Edition of that version. And the thing about that particular game is, while it did come with a sort of main campaign, the real sort of meat of it was the Aurora tool set that people then went on to use and make their own custom modules and worlds and stuff, and it had this big multiplayer aspect to it. And as a result of that, the game's main campaign, which was called the Wailing Death, really served more as like a demo of what was possible with the tool set. And that's how we got stuff like the premium modules from Ossian Studios themselves, including a couple of official expansions previously, Shadows of the Undren Tide and Hordes of the Underdark, which came out in 2003. But those followed a separate hero and just kind of carried on from a few events. The difference here is that Doom of Icewind Dale actually picks up as the Hero of Neverwinter after you save the city from the Wailing Death, which is a plague. That ultimately culminates in the execution of Erebeth. Erebeth is the woman on the cover art of Neverwinter Nights, if you were curious. And there's a lot of interesting lore and stuff behind all of that. But Doom of Icewind Dale here puts you directly in the shoes of the Hero of Neverwinter, as I mentioned, meaning it is a direct continuation. An official one, as a matter of fact. Which I have to imagine is how they got away with including characters like Icewind in here, going under an alias, but very much so the right person. And for those who don't know, Icewind is one of the main characters in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. But with all of that said, let's actually dive in a little more specifically on what this expansion is and what it's all about. So, the Hero of Neverwinter wakes up in what seems to be some sort of purgatory-esque plane, stripped of all your belongings and recent memories, where you confront a hooded man who has brought you back to life, saved your life basically, and explains while he can't give you the details of what happened, he can prevent your death, which is what he's doing in this moment, so long as you track down the curious goings-on in Icewind Dale, which is where you died, because, as we quickly find out, while we don't have much of our own memories at the moment, we can piece together through meeting people that, following the events of the Wailing Death, the hero was exiled from the city of Neverwinter, and you found yourself heading up towards Icewind Dale before being attacked in some manner, which ultimately led to your memory loss. Now you find yourself in Icewind Dale just trying to piece together fragments of a mystery here in order to hopefully regain your memories by tracking down the only lead you have, which was some masked woman who seems to be involved. And then next thing you know, you're hacking and slashing your way through all sorts of different types of hags, frost trolls, frost giants, and all manner of other things that call Icewind Dale home. And through this, we're going to see some familiar locations, such as a couple of the 10 towns, as a matter of fact, and along the way you're going to meet a whole host of different characters in an adventure that takes around 10 to 15 hours depending on you. Now, for those who are completely unaware and just happen to watch my content and don't really know much about Neverwinter Nights, this one happens to be based on a D&D's 3rd edition rule set, just the base 3rd edition, not 3.5. But being a video game, they tried to make that as easy for people as possible. There's even like preset kits that you can put on a character when you're going through character character creation, so when you level up, it'll just sort of auto do that stuff for you, which I talked about in my review of it years ago, but I just wanted to mention that because Neverwinter Nights is not intimidating despite the rule set and everything. It's actually a pretty easy game to get into as far as these types of games go, especially with the Enhanced Edition making it even easier. But for returning players, you're going to see plenty of familiar faces, some returning characters, companions such as Sharwin, and if you've played Tyrants of the Moonsea, you'll even see a couple characters from that as well. And overall, while I don't want to get too into the weeds of this for the sake of spoilers, even in a video like this, having ran through it for myself already, I thought it was pretty solid for the runtime and everything, and obviously the limitations of this older title. And what I mean by that is, like, for instance, there are potentially up to 5 companions that can come with you on this adventure, some old and new here, but while they have personalities and, you can talk to them and have conversations and everything, it is a little bit limited just due to the nature of it. But even still, they managed to work in some choice and consequence there. For instance, one of them betrayed me based on my options or choices that I had made earlier in dealing with a demon, for instance. Though, while doing all that, you'll also be sort of engaging with a lot of the lore around Icewind Dale, as you might imagine, including some of the gods that are native to the area, such as Arl, and even a godling, which all culminates in an appropriately grand and epic fight that, surprisingly, leads to the setup for more, actually. From what I understand, the Blades of Netheril campaign, which itself was announced a few years back as a continuation to Neverwinter Nights as well. So this little expansion here sort of bridges the gap between Wailing Death and the Blades of Netheril, which is planned. So as surprising as this release was, if you find yourself enjoying it, there is actually more planned. But more than anything, for the sake of this video, I just wanted to point out how crazy it is that Neverwinter Nights got an official expansion and continuation of its campaign via this update here in 2025. And as somebody who largely built his channel around covering these old games that, not a lot of people talked about, I obviously wanted to shed some light on that. I think it's a tremendous accomplishment, and I hope it winds up working out for them. Currently, this expansion looks to be selling for about $10, which is pretty much in line with all of the other sort of big premium module stuff that they've been selling over the years. So if you happen to be going through 2025 looking for a classic to play, having played both the original campaigns as well as this new one for myself, I can definitely say that this is honestly a pretty great time to jump into Neverwinter Nights if you haven't previously, especially since there are actually more planned official expansions coming up. Again, the Blades of Netheril campaign, which is as good an excuse as any to enjoy one of the timeless classics of CRPGs. But that is pretty much going to do it for this particular video. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.